welcome back to the table. Today we're going to take a look at the game Solar 175, which is an upcoming legacy game that I'm very excited about. The reason I'm so excited is because this game combines elements from a lot of games that I really love, and it puts it together in a really interesting way that makes for what I think is going to be a very unique legacy experience. Now, I do want to start by saying I have not played through the entire legacy campaign. It is a long campaign that can be played solo or up to 5 players. And the whole concept of this game is that it's been 175 years since there was a great disaster that happened on Earth that kind of united all of the continents together, all the countries under one government. So that government has been ruling for 175 years, but in that time, corporations have started to kind of gain power and influence and money, and they're starting to wonder why they should have to, follow this particular government. You play as one of those corporations, so everyone at the table is going to be playing against each other, trying to accrue the most influence to kind of try to sway the way that the votes go, the way that the government is run, and also just to build up your own corporation. And your corporation is represented by a player board. You're going to have this player board, and you're going to have a bag that comes with all of your components, including your starting ships. Now, over the course of the game, this player board is going to be upgraded in a lot of different ways. On the back here, you'll get to put all your information, like you could put a name for your corporation, a little motto, and then you're going to have a ton of check boxes, which is something that you might be familiar with if you've played other legacy games. You're going to be checking these boxes off as you play the game, and the game is going to grow and change as you unlock certain new envelopes and boxes. Of course, there are a ton of those. So I don't know how many are going to come in the final game, but I have 20. Of course, your player bag is going to have everything you need, like I said, to play. And I've got the board already kind of set up here with one caveat. I've got one solar system zone set up here in front of me. Normally in games, you're going to be using multiple zones. Even in the first game, you're going to be using 2 zones. Just for clarity's sake, so you can see everything on the table, I did condense it all down to just one zone. And you can tell what makes up a zone because you'll see the blue line around the outside. Now, there's a reason that this isn't just a board. Each one of these tiles can be changed and upgraded with stickers. Of course, there's going to be stickers in a legacy game. I'm sure you expected that. I have, of course, just prototype stickers here, but these tiles are going to be able to be stickered and also flipped over to other sides. When you meet certain conditions, you can flip them, and costs and benefits of these different planets will change. So there's quite a bit to explain here, so I just want to kind of jump into how the game is played. This is a worker placement game with bag building, so if you're familiar with the game Orleans, think about that. You're going to start with 1 worker of every color, and there are 5 different colors of workers you can gain. 4 basic colors, and then 1 which is the pink, which is the wild color. You're going to start with all 4 of these in your bag, and you're going to be able to shake this kind of up and draw out your workers every turn. Of course, at the start of the game, you have 4 spots for available workers, so you'll have each one of your workers available. As you play, you're going to be placing your workers out in one of the many different circles here in order to take certain actions during the game. You need specific colors to go in these specific circles in order to trigger these abilities. So one of the things you're wanting to do early, of course, is get more workers to try to increase your ability to place. But you'll only be able to draw 4 workers a turn. You're also going to have a credit tracker that gives you 1 credit to start, and you'll have 4 bases off to the side that are ready to be built. In addition, each player takes 1 district card. This is going to be kind of the district that you start off in, that's your home base. Now, everything about this game is very flavorful. All of the action cards have text on the back. All of these different trade buildings have text. Everything in the game is designed to really immerse you in that experience. With that being said, they've even included a magazine. And this is legit. This is a fully produced magazine that's going to have a ton of information about the world that you're playing in. So you're going to be able to read this and really get immersed in the actual world of the game. But not only that, this is actually going to track the history of the solar system, which is your scores as you play through the legacy game. So this magazine actually has an incredibly important place in acting as your scoreboard, and there's some stuff in here that I won't spoil. So you'll have to take a look at that magazine. It's very, very cool. Of course, the rulebook as well has sections in there that are spoilers. You've got the cards, the envelopes, and even some boxes that have more content that are all spoilers, so I'm not going to open any of that on camera. I don't want to get into any of that. But let's talk about how the actual actions work. Now, as you place these and fill up these worker spots that you'll see here on the board, you can remove your workers to take different actions. Most of these actions are going to revolve around interacting with these sections of the game board. So you've got actually kind of 4 different sections here. I'll break it down for you. This is the main zone of the solar system. You'll have these multiple zones connected, and you'll see little arrows that are going to tell you which tiles need to be placed next to each other as you draw them from your stack. This is Earth. Earth is the focus of the very first game, and everyone's playership is going to start on Earth at the start of the game, but you'll quickly be moving around to other districts. Above that, you'll have the outposts. The goal of the game is to build outposts. Now, you'll have 16 outposts that you can build every game, and the game ends when the 16th outpost is built. So you'll keep track of that up there at the top. Below the solar system board, you're going to have your trade actions. These are 3 actions you can take that correspond to the trade action on your board. And then below are the 5 workers spots where you can gain new workers, and these all have their own unique theme. And of course, like I said earlier, you flip the card over, you can read all about what these workers are and what they're doing. But you have these white workers, which are general workers, the blue workers, which are pilots, the grayish workers here, silver, that are engineers, the black lobbyists, and then these pinks are wilds. They can go to any spot on your player board. They're also harder to get. You're also going to start with 1 card that corresponds to your ship. As the game goes on and you potentially earn bigger and better ships, you'll take the card that signifies that ship, which gives you actions as well. And you'll also have a little player aid here that's going to give you all the paths to victory and just all the different icons in the game, because there are a lot of icons you need to keep track of. But it's actually a lot simpler than it might seem, because really, once you're placing these workers out onto your board, all you're doing in your turn is just removing a pair back into your bag to take the action that you were on. The simplest is the outpost action. That's simply going to let you take one of your outpost markers and place it over here in your supply. This is a built outpost. Later, if you take the outpost action, it can be assigned. So you'll see you have 2 cards out here, and these cards are actually going to be different every time you play the game. You can add in different cards, or they're double-sided as well. So it's going to tell you that you can build up to 2 outposts around, and you can assign those outposts into 2 different zones. So if I later was to take that action, I could put this outpost into some of these different zones. Now, outposts are useful for in-game scoring. I'll talk about that when I get to the end of the game, but everything you do is kind of determined by this peacekeeping force headquarters, which is this giant space station, and you're able to influence the way that the victory conditions pan out. So you're going to want to do a little bit of everything, because you don't know what's going to score at the end of the game. All right, then you have your worker placement spots where you get new workers. That's going to let you take workers from one of these spots, and every time you do, you're going to get to take a different action. So you'll get a free trade action, a free ship action, a free outpost action, a free lobby action, and then the wilds give you nothing because they're just really good. I want to talk about that lobby action really quick. This one is that X you see here. This lets you take your special outposts off your board, and that's how you're going to free up more spaces for workers. So you could hold potentially up to 5. You could hold up to 8 total workers every round of place. Obviously, the more you lobby, the more you free up those spots, the easier it's going to be to take actions, but you're not driving the game forward. You're not taking your outposts off of the actual station up there. The next row is your IPTC, which is your Interplanetary Trade Center, and that's going to reflect these 3 cards here. At least at the start of the game, you only have 3 actions that you can go to. You can get credits from the bank, you can trade minerals with the Rio Astro Corp, or you can build with Hensler. Hensler is one of the corporations that lets you build. Now, every spot out here is going to have a variety of different things. It might have a mining token, which you can gain, and this is what you can sell back and forth to the Rio Astro Corp, or it's going to have a cost to build. That's going to let you build one of your bases. If you're in a location, you look at the card, you pay the cost, and you get to put one of your bases on that planet. You've got 4 bases over here. Every time you take a base, it's going to let you do a special action, and these bases are also going to be useful for in-game scoring, so we'll talk about that too. Then you have on the right side 3 actions that actually remove your tokens from the game. They go back out to their card. Other players can then recruit them. You have your lobby action. This is to vote. Now, this is an interesting part of the game. If you place a worker there, you'll remove that worker from the game, and you'll get to take the ballot box. This is like a little ballot box that you can assemble at the start of the game with a little lid. You're going to be placing your votes in here. You've got a dry erase marker that's going to let you make a vote. Whenever you do, you come to this board and you select one of these 3 squares to determine who you want to be the next government. You'll cross that off and you will drop your vote into the ballot box to be totaled at the end of the game. The reason why this is important is because each of these 3 governments have their own in-game scoring condition. They're going to double the points that you get for a certain aspect of the game. So that's kind of important. Then you have your fund a mega project. Whenever you fund a mega project, you're going to see up here, you've got 1 mega project, it's at Earth. So you'll see that these symbols kind of match up. In future games, you might have other mega projects that you can build. This is just how it is for the first game. I won't spoil anything, but that's the one thing you can build into. You can actually fund into that, which is going to give you these mega point tokens, which are going to be worth a variable amount of points at the end of the game. The last thing you could do is send your workers off to the peacekeeping force. And this is kind of another way that you're going to modify how the in-game scoring works between this and voting. Whenever you send someone, you're going to send them to one of the 3 peacekeeping force spots. Each one of these is going to increase the victory points of something you do. First of all, you're going to get a military token, which is worth 2 victory points just for going there, which is great. And then you're going to place your worker in one of these spots. So you're either going to get a multiplier to those mega structure tokens that you might have earned by contributing to the mega structure. You might get points for building bases, for how many bases you have built. And then you might get points for having presence in these different districts. Presence is all your bases, your outposts, and your ship all count as presence in that district. Over the course of the game, as people are sending these tokens to these different places, they're increasing your ability to score. So in this situation right now, every one of these mega projects is going to be worth 2 points. So I've got one of those tokens, say I got another, that's 4 points right there. If I'm getting a bunch of these tokens by taking that fund action over and over again, then I'm wanting to really put out people there, put out those wilds there, and increase the multiplier. The same works for your bases and the same works for your presence. You're going to get all your presence is going to be multiplied by how many tokens are there as well. I know it's a lot, but these are the 3 main things you're going to be scoring in the game. And your ability to influence those over the course of the game is very interesting because you're going to be watching what other players do and you're going to be trying to figure out which route to go. If you see people going very heavy into building bases and really stacking up points to increase the multiplier for building bases, you want to get your bases out. Now, I said earlier that the voting really matters because you're going to be either scoring double for your mega project tokens, double for your bases, or double for those military tokens that you earned. So based on what votes you're taking or how often you're voting, you're going to get to influence who wins. And the winner not only scores for this round, but they also take over and become the running government the next game you play, because the decisions you make in one game carry over to the next. Now, I know that you have a lot of options in this game. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot of different actions, and it's almost like a sandbox. The way that you're actually interacting with this board, the paths that you're taking, the way that you're building up to your final points in one of those 3 ways, it all is going to kind of come together at the end of the game when it comes to scoring. You're going to score victory points. You're going to record them in that magazine, but it doesn't necessarily matter who wins. I mean, it does a little bit. You're going to get some rewards for winning. You're going to get to choose how to modify some of the elements of the player board based on which mission you're playing through. But over the course of the entire game, what really matters is completing these things on your player board. So it doesn't matter if you won. If you had, for example, the most presence in a zone, or you were the most funding of the mega project, you're going to get to check off these boxes, and you're going to be able to possibly win awards as well. And these are going to change up your gameplay as well. Now, there's also in the rule book and in each scenario, it's going to tell you conditions for opening up the next set of envelopes. Some of these are simple. When you finish game 1, open envelope 1, but some of them are going to be more specific. When you take a certain action, open up a specific envelope. When you do something specific, or when something specific happens on the board, open up a new box. And these are going to completely change up the game. I mean completely change up the game. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but if you've played Legacy games before, you can start to guess maybe it's some of the stuff that's going to come out. Some new gameplay elements, some new rule stickers that are going to stick in the rule book, some things that might go onto your player board to upgrade, and some things that might go onto the cards to upgrade and change them. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I really wish I could tell you more, but I want you to be able to experience for yourself what you're going to get when you open up all these different envelopes. So take a look at the Kickstarter page, because I think they can maybe spoil a little bit more than I feel comfortable spoiling right now. But this is Solar 175. Hopefully you like this breakdown and you understand how the game is played. I mean, if you're a fan of Legacy games, if you're a fan of Orleans, this is so cool. the way that it really does implement that bag building worker placement mechanic in a really unique way and gives you a lot of things to fight for. This game has a lot of meat, especially when you start getting into some of the later games. Again, no spoilers. So take a look. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about, what your favorite legacy game is, what your favorite space game is, because I know I love space games. So thank you so much for watching today, and until I see you again, keep having fun at the table.
Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.